Hi, Ian. Are you there? Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Yes. Hey, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Just want to do a sound check on the video if we could with you. Is that all right?
Affirmative.
Okay. I'm gonna share it.
I hear it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
So yeah, if you have been following the Walk for Peace monks, they are arriving in the DC area, I think tomorrow, and that's day 108, which is a very auspicious number, and actually many different traditions of religion. And the next day, so Wednesday, from 4:30 to 7:30, they're doing a worldwide global loving kindness meditation. And they're going to live stream it from their website and their Facebook page. So we're going to meet here at Kadampa Center, anyone who wants to, at about 4:30, a little bit before 4:30, and we will pull the live stream up on our projector screen, and we can join in on that. Now, we normally have a Wednesday night class that starts at 7, so we'll have to end our time with them at 6:30 so that then we can get set up for our 7 o'clock Wednesday class. But from 4:30 to 6:30, we will be joining in this worldwide loving kindness meditation. So information is now posted on our website if you're interested. We are going to just do it here in the Gampa, so it's an in-person only thing. But having said that, of course, it is being live streamed on the website and the Facebook page of Walk for Peace. So, if you can't come to the center, you can always pull it up in one of those two locations. And again, all of that information is on our website. Okay, and if you're not familiar with our website, it's kadampa-center.org. And up in the upper right-hand corner is a little word that says calendar. So it's not very prominent on our website, but that's my favorite place to go because that will then bring up our calendar and it shows everything that is happening at Kadampa Center. So then on that calendar, you can just click on, any of those classes or events or programs, and that'll take you to a page with a lot more information. So anyone have any questions or anything? All right.
Okay, welcome, Doug. Jennifer, hi. Linda and Brad, good to see you. Robbie is in the building, so we'll be starting shortly. Okay, welcome, Laisa. Hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, that's right. It's perfect.
All right. Okay, still have some folks coming in here to the Gampa, I hear. So there's Kurt. Hey, Kurt. Did you get your trees planted? Not yet. Okay. Right.
Okay, am I on? Okay, we ready, Linda? Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Discovering Buddhism module on Bodhichitta. And if you don't know what that word means, that's fine. We'll discuss that at great length. We'll be meeting here for 4 Monday nights for approximately an hour each night. This is a fun module. This isn't about death and dying and suffering. This is about love and compassion. So this is one of the happy modules in this 13 module series that we have going. My name's Robbie Watkins. I've been a member of Kadampa Center since 1993, and I've been teaching Discovering Buddhism since we began offering it, I don't know when, probably 97, 98, somewhere in that time range. And I've taught this module before, but it's been a while. We have a group of teachers and different people teach different modules each time. This is a good one if you're new to Buddhism because it doesn't depend on a lot of background to follow the material. Let's see, just so I can get an idea who we have here and on the joining us via Zoom. Do you have anyone here for the very first time? Okay, great. Glad to have you all here. Have a couple people and online also. Okay, that's wonderful. This is a good module to start with if you're new to Buddhism. Just to give you all an introduction, this is Kadampa Center. There are lots of different types of Buddhism, generally based on various cultural traditions in Asia, and we are in the Tibetan tradition, the type of Buddhism that is traditionally practiced in Tibet. And we look ultimately to His Holiness the Dalai Lama as our spiritual guide. We're a member of a worldwide organization called the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition, which is quite a mouthful. So we refer to it as the FPMT for short. And that's about 150 centers all around the world, started by Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa. Their pictures are behind the statue here. And they had a special gift for bringing the traditional teachings of the Buddha as taught in Tibet to students in the West that we find appealing and interesting. They are both deceased, but the organization continues on and is quite active. And you can check out their website. There's a lot of stuff there. And then you can check out Kadampa Center's website for all the activities that Linda touched on. So, anything else, Linda? Okay. So we're going to start with the video. These were made, the FPMT made these about, it's been quite a while now, 20 years ago or so. One is an introduction to each module, but they still have a lot of good material. And then various people like Richard Gere and Keanu Reeves show up at random. So I don't know who's going to be in this one tonight, but let's take that. We'll start with the video, okay?
This incredible, powerful meditation, and the
Go on, get the lights, somehow help. Thank you. That was George Dreyfus, George Chernoff on the right. He lives in the mountains of North Carolina now. See all sorts of people who have come to Kadampa Center in these.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama has said that real compassion comes from seeing the suffering of others, and you feel a sense of responsibility. You want to do something for them. The more we care for the happiness of others, the greater is our own sense of well-being. In Buddhism, this attitude of wishing to give ultimate benefit to others as much as possible is called bodhicitta. It's the heart of Buddhist practice. Now, we all know an eye for an eye only makes the world blind. We hear this wisdom, but how can we really practice it? Buddha taught accessible methods for how to transform every heart, no matter how wounded, into one that only thinks of benefiting others. Join us as we learn how to develop this profound compassion.
At the beginning of each of our teachings, we have been setting an appropriate motivation. That motivation has been the wish to achieve enlightenment in order to be able to benefit all living beings and lead them to enlightenment as well. This intention, this wish, is actually the mind of bodhicitta and is known also as the mind of enlightenment. Now, bodhicitta is an attitude that is progressively developed step by step. And the very first step in that process of development is generating an appropriate motivation, a strong motivation for practice. And so before listening to these teachings, in your mind, make a strong determination to be able as quickly as possible to reach the state of Buddhahood, not for yourself alone, but in order to benefit all living beings.
So once you have that kind of true understanding of the nature of suffering with relation to one's own existence, then you extend that understanding, that recognition towards all other sentient beings and reflect upon their status as suffering beings, and then cultivate the wish that just as you yourself wish to attain freedom from the suffering, so too all of these sentient beings wish to be free from suffering. And so in that way you cultivate a great compassion and the wish that all sentient beings enjoy happiness, which is the freedom from suffering. That is the loving kindness. So on the basis of compassion that wishes others to be free of suffering, and loving kindness that wishes others to enjoy happiness, then you cultivate a sense of a special responsibility. Therefore, your compassion does not remain simply at the level of wish or aspiration, but rather it generates a sense of commitment and responsibility that I shall liberate all beings from suffering. And this kind of extraordinary sense of responsibility will lead to the eventual realization of bodhicitta, which is the altruistic intention, aspiring to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. So the bodhicitta is like the central axle of the Mahayana path. So therefore, it is this factor of bodhicitta which determines whether or not you are within the fold or outside the fold of the Bodhisattva practitioners. So if you lack the bodhicitta, this altruistic intention, no matter how other powerful practices that you may have, such as the realization of emptiness, even direct realization of emptiness, or even nirvana that you may have attained, none of these practices become the conduct of a bodhisattva. When you have the quality of bodhicitta, realization of bodhicitta, then even a simple act of virtue, such as feeding the ants, giving food to the ants, which may seem a kind of an insignificant activity, but because of your bodhicitta motivation, this altruistic intention, even these simple acts are transformed into conditions for attainment of full enlightenment. And so in a way, it is like an elixir that transforms base metals into gold.
I think answer for everything. Answer for everything. I think that's the compassion, bodhicitta. Purpose of my life is not just to achieve happiness for myself, free myself from my own problems, sufferings. Purpose of my life is to benefit others, other sentient beings who are numberless. So I must free them from all the suffering causes and bring them to enlightenment. So when you generate this thought, this attitude of the bodhicitta, total benefit of others, so it brings so much peace, contentment, fulfilling in your heart, makes your life so happy. So usually there's two ways to develop bodhicitta. One technique to develop bodhicitta is through 7 techniques of mind, cause, and effect. So you meditate how all the sentient beings happen in your mother and the kind. You see, give body, and then numberless kindness. You see, that protect one's life from dangers. The numberless kindness gave education, numberless kindness, bear so much hardship for one's own happiness. That they, when they have one's mother, and they bear, so much hardship, suffer so much, for to take care of oneself, for one's own well-being, for one's own happiness. So, like that, you see. Then, so this is how you meditate in that technique, you see, the mother and kind, So then you see, you feel so very precious. So this way, when you feel everybody being mother and kind, you feel warm to you, see, kind of beauty. You see, it's not talking about beauty of the body. You see, the kindness, being kind. So you see other sentient beings are suffering, like something being samsara, suffering. So wish others to be free from suffering, the cause of the suffering, and you want to do that. You see, so that there's when you take the responsibility on yourself, to cause happiness others, that's the mahana, the loving kindness. And this is my turn. This is my turn is to help them. So I must free them from all. You see, I will free them from all the sentient beings, with all the sentient beings without exception, from all the suffering and causes, and bring them to enlightenment by myself alone. So you take the full responsibility on yourself. Then The success of that, there's no other way except first myself to achieve enlightenment. So that when that thought rises naturally, day and night, you see, without any effort, just while you are, eating, walking, this thought naturally rises. Like the you see, mother whose child fell in the fire or drowned, you see, in the river or you see, oceans, something like that. Then mother, while she's eating, while she's walking, all the time, constantly she think of that child to save. You see, that without any effort, just couldn't rise. So like that is taught to, and then you see, so like that you see, taught to achieve enlightenment. To free the sentient beings from all the suffering causes and bring them to enlightenment. So that time, the one has to realization bodhicitta. So, but without bodhicitta, we can't achieve enlightenment. So you can see it now clear, without compassion, cannot achieve enlightenment yourself, and cannot enlighten, you see, cannot liberate all the sentient beings from all the sufferings and bring them to enlightenment, cannot be profitable to the sentient beings. So therefore, it's now here the compassion is the most important thing in the life.
One of these verses of Bodhicitta in the training says, this chronic disease of constantly cherishing oneself, of the chronic disease of egoism, it is actually the cause of all the unwanted circumstances. Having recognized that this is the one to blame for all the shortcomings, bless me so I might be able to eliminate this self-grasping, the practice of Tonglen, of taking and giving. This is an incredible powerful practice, incredible powerful meditation, and the immediate result, good result that you have on training your mind on the basis of Tonglen is that you will be able to develop a very uncommon, powerful courage. You become really brave-hearted, very brave, so brave that you that nothing will be able to shake you anymore. You become as brave as being that kind of courage that you are sure you can take upon yourself the burden of all sentient beings, and you're able to give to all sentient beings whatever they need from yourself alone. So it means that once you have acquired so much courage by training your mind, you won't be harmed by delusions anymore. Delusion arises in your mind, but you'll be able to conquer them right away. So once you have given, once you have trained of giving, of being able to give yourself to others to that extent, the quality of your happiness will increase tremendously. Is actually the best happiness you can find. If something happens to you when you have trained your mind so much with this meditation of giving, and taking upon yourself the sufferings of sentient beings and giving out whatever goodness you have, you cannot experience anymore any loss, because mentally you have given it already. So instead of encountering sufferings upon having losses, your mind becomes happier and happier. The actual meditation on taking and giving is as you should try to meditate in this way. So first of all, you just visualize yourself surrounded by all sentient beings. Then you should begin gradually. First begin with yourself. You think of your own sufferings first. The sufferings of today, the sufferings of tomorrow, the suffering of this life, the sufferings you might and then increase it with the suffering of future life and so forth until you are comfortable accepting your own sufferings ripening upon yourself. Then slowly move over to your parents, move over to your parents, move over to your kids, move over to your husband or to your wife, to your family. And then you move over, once you're comfortable with that, you increase with all your friends. Once you're comfortable with that, you increase with all your enemies. And once you're comfortable with that, you increase with all the strangers, all the human beings. Then once you're comfortable with that, you increase with all the animals, and so on and so forth. You gradually build up the strength of your courage and your meditation until you're able to embrace all sentient beings. The meditation of taking and giving. In Tibetan, actually, Tonglen means giving and taking, but from the point of view of the practice, you first take and then give. You first take upon yourself and then you give out. So once you have this, on the basis of this feeling of compassion, begin to think that all these sufferings, the sufferings of the hell beings, of cold and heat, the sufferings of hunger and thirst, of the pretas and so on, each of them, for each sentient beings, think that they come out of the sentient beings like a huge black cloud. And in the nature is the sufferings of the sentient beings and the causes, all those non-virtuous actions which bring as a result that type of suffering, and they just ripen on you. They just absorb right in the center of the heart, where the self-cherishing thought stays, right there, and destroys it. I think that it ripens completely everything on yourself. And by doing this, think that I'm freeing all my mother's sentient beings from their sufferings. They're ripening upon me right now. Therefore, from now on, all my mother's sentient beings, they will dwell in the irreversible happiness, and I myself alone am doing this. So generate a great joy at the end of your meditation of having been able to do and being able to do so. So at this point, once you have taken in this way gradually, then it is a moment of giving. Giving is done, taking is done on the basis of great compassion, wanting all sentient beings to be free from suffering. This is the meaning of compassion. So now you give with love. What is the meaning of love? Love, the wish of all sentient beings to be happy, to possess all their happiness, temporary and ultimate happiness that they wish for, in accordance with their desire, exactly as they desire. But by using your breath with your visualization, mounting it with love and compassion to give and to take, it becomes quite powerful and a quick method to realize the mind of enlightenment.
There's no question in my mind that bodhicitta is the root of all, the foundation of all practices. Without bodhicitta, none of it makes any sense. It doesn't have any power to it. There's no juice to it. From my experience, there's no transformative effect to meditation without developing compassion. It becomes a bit dry and ineffectual. And it creates a kind of cool detachment, which I don't think was the purpose of the Buddha's work. Ultimately, the work that is achieved through the various practices is to break down all barriers. And there's no more tangible one than breaking down the barriers to having a compassionate, open heart to all beings, insects and enemies included. To begin to approach a new kind of relationship with them, to me, really is the beginning of practice. There's a very powerful practice that, simple practice, that I started using years and years and years ago. And it was simply every creature that I met, whether it was a person, an insect, whatever it may be, the first thought that I allowed myself to generate towards that other being was, I wish you happiness. Very simple thing, but make sure that the very first thought you have is, I wish you happiness. And how that totally transforms what happens after that point with this other person. This is my own experience. I see this very clearly. Now, sometimes it's extremely difficult. You're faced with an enemy. You're faced with an immediate physical situation where something is in your face. It becomes very difficult. That's where the meditative process of being able to stop the arisal of an afflictive emotion becomes really important. That there is an immediate space that you can create where you can see it arise. And before it actually takes you over, you're able to transform it. Okay, see it for what it is, that this is ignorance being manifest. This anger is nothing more than ignorance. From my side and their side. Transform it, let it go. Transform it, turn it into love. I wish you happiness. If you just try that, what an extraordinary difference everything makes.
Giving birth is an amazing experience, and for me the pain was so intense that it really allowed my mind to focus in a way that I very rarely, if ever, can otherwise. And so during the process of birth, when a contraction would come and it would just be so intense and so painful, that was really the only time I've ever been able to practice Tonglen in a way that I felt like it was really powerful, and it was really affecting my mind, and it was the only thing that allowed my mind to get through that process. Because if I would freak out and lose concentration for a minute, the pain would just be so overwhelming I couldn't handle it. But then if I could just think of all the others out there who had either experienced that kind of pain in similar situations, or the numerous other kinds of pain that people are experiencing all the time, and I could think of trying to take on their suffering and to experience it and take it away from them in what I was feeling, it somehow helped to keep it much more focused, and it helped to keep it bearable. I got a tiny taste during that process of how powerful Tonglen can be, and how amazing, like if you really practice that all the time, and you just, or as a regular daily practice even, it would just change how you viewed the world so much. And then I think as a parent, you start to get a little opportunity to do that in the waking time. It's probably in practice, in being around my daughter, that's probably the only time really that I'll have a desire and she'll have an opposing desire, and I'll give in and do what she needs before I'll do what I need. And so it's nice to see that. And it's amazing to imagine what it would be like to have that feeling towards every other being, you know, on the planet. And you can see some of these teachers that do have that feeling towards every being on the planet, and it's amazing.
Thank you very much, Linda and Lisa, for playing that. Pretty much everything that we'll be talking about in the next couple weeks was touched on in there one way or another. So tonight I'm going to do a lot of definition of terms and put things in perspective and let you know where this fits in all the teachings of the Buddha, because it can be confusing at times. So I'm going to define a lot of terms. So if we're all good card-carrying Buddhists, our aspiration is, our goal is enlightenment, okay? And if we're not card-carrying Buddhist, or we're kind of wishy-washy, we may say, I'm not so sure about that. I just want to be a little bit happier. I just want to be a little bit better person. I just want to be a little bit better able to deal with the stress. But at some level, for most of us, enlightenment is the ultimate goal. So what is enlightenment? Anybody want to take a step? Can people at home see this? Okay, thank you. Anybody want to take a stab at defining enlightenment? Okay. I mean, an easy way out is to say it's a state of Buddhahood, which doesn't really tell us anything, but it's a state where we've completely developed our qualities of compassion and wisdom in our mind stream, so that no negative thoughts of anger, jealousy, resentment, confusion even arise. Our mind is nothing but pure compassion and wisdom. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. So the first we have to say, we have to think about, is that even possible? Okay, so maybe some of us in here are already enlightened. I don't know. But for a lot of us, we have a lot of doubts about that. And the Buddha addressed that. And that's not the point of this class. But he said, it is possible for every being with consciousness, which means every human being, every dog, every cat, every ant, every cockroach, every being in other realms, if you accept the Buddhist cosmology. Enlightenment is a possibility for every being with a consciousness, with a mind. It's something that occurs in the mind. It's not physical, okay? It doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's something that you have to create the causes for. Because in the Buddhist worldview, and I'm just giving the party line, nothing happens randomly or without a cause. So enlightenment happens because of causes. Our mind becomes enlightenment because we create the causes for that. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about Buddhist practice. Okay, we're creating the causes to train our mind in qualities of compassion and wisdom, with the ultimate goal being enlightenment, where those qualities exist purely, without contamination, without any obscurations, as we say. So it's a possibility for every being with a consciousness, for everyone in this room. Okay? It's not something that the Buddha can tap us on the head and cause to happen. It's something we have to do on our own by working with our mind, our consciousness, that non-physical aspect of our being. We develop, we train our mind, we practice. Certainly we can have teachers. We have qualified teachers here at Kadampa Center, Geshe Geluk, Geshe Sampo, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. A lot of us have teachers who aren't even Buddhist. They can teach us, they can tell us what they've learned, but the work has to be done on your own. It's said that all a Buddha, an enlightened being, really can do is teach, be an example. And there are countless beings who have achieved the state of Buddhahood throughout all time. In this tradition, we look back to Shakyamuni Buddha, as depicted in this statue here, who lived in northern India 2,500 years ago. He was just a human being who sat down under the Bodhi tree and developed his mind and became enlightened by working on it on his own. And he says that's a possibility for each one of us. Okay. So that's what we aspire to. Now, I don't think most of us have that in our mind 24/7, we're just trying to get through the day, but that's what we aim for. So it said that the bird, if you refer to it as a bird of enlightenment, has two wings. It needs two wings to fly. And they're the wisdom wing, and then there's the compassion wing. So these are the two qualities we want to develop in our mind to become enlightened. Okay? Wisdom means you're smart. Compassion means you're nice. Okay? To become enlightenment, you have to be smart and nice at the same time. You can't just be one or the other if you want to become a Buddha. You got to be smart and nice. So by wisdom, what do we mean? Is it having read a lot of books and passed a lot of tests and having a lot of degrees? What is wisdom in the Buddhist point of view? It's seeing things as they are, seeing reality directly without any projections from our own mind, from our own past experience, but seeing things as they are, okay? What's compassion? They mentioned that in the tape. Anybody want to take a stab at that? It's wanting others to be free of suffering, okay? Compassion, okay? So we have to develop both these qualities, and the Buddha gave teachings in both these two big categories. They're wisdom teachings, they're compassion teachings, and it's not like you study just one and then perfect that and go, and then you start over compassion. Usually you're working on both of them. But someone who has completely mastered the wisdom teachings, and I'm introducing some of the jargon so you're familiar with it. It said someone who has realized the wisdom teachings. By realized, they touched on this, means that's continually in your mind, okay? You see things directly. It's not something that comes and goes, but you've realized it, so it's part of your mind continuously. What do we call a person who's mastered the wisdom teachings? Anybody know? Yeah, this person's called an arhat. Okay? Arhat, also sometimes translated as a noble being. Okay, that's a person who sees reality directly without any filters or preconceptions or projections, but sees things exactly the way they are. Someone who is, and really I'm going to put these are the compassion wing, but we want to develop here is the subject of this course. It's bodhicitta, okay? Which is actually more than just compassion. Okay, this is a Sanskrit word, not a Tibetan word. Bodhi means enlightened, or more technically, it means awakened. Okay, Bodhi means awakened. Chitta refers to mind, sentient mind, okay? So bodhicitta is awakened mind, okay? And as they talked about in the film, it refers specifically to the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all beings, including yourself, okay? But not just for yourself, but for everyone. And that means without exceptions. Hitler is included, okay? Donald Trump is included, okay? Whoever is your bête noire, whoever is included. No exceptions. Enlightened for the sake of, to help everyone. And that includes all insects and people you don't know and people that you actively dislike. Also your friends, your family, yourself, and beings in other realms. So that's what bodhicitta is. That's the highest form of compassion, the wish to become enlightened, okay, for the benefit of all sentient beings. And a person who has realized bodhicitta in their mind is called a bodhisattva. Sattva means being. So this is an awakened being, bodhisattva. Okay? So a bodhisattva is nice, an arhat is smart. Okay? But of course, they're not developing either of those qualities in isolation. As you become aware of reality, compassion naturally arises. And as you develop compassion, you see things as they are more accurately. So, but if you realize either one of these qualities, you're an arhat or a bodhisattva, which are tremendous accomplishments, but are not completely enlightened, okay? But they're getting very close. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the bodhicitta wing of the bird of enlightenment, okay, and kind of precursors as we work on, okay, these are qualities that we develop in our mind. They don't just arise. We have to create the causes for them, which means we have to develop them. And this potential that we have in our mind for bodhicitta, for wisdom, for enlightenment, is what we sometimes call our Buddha nature. And this term is used in a lot of different ways. But in the Mahayana tradition that we're part of, it really refers to the potential in our mind stream to develop these qualities. Enlightenment is a potential for every being with a consciousness. No matter how lowly, how evil they seem, they have the potential for enlightenment. And that's what we really mean when we're talking about our Buddha nature. When we talk about Buddha nature, it doesn't mean we have a little Buddha inside of us that we just have to let out. It means we have a potential, but we have to develop these qualities. We have little bits of this now. But we have to develop them. They have to grow, okay? Because they're quite small and inadequate and intermittent and come and go. We want these two qualities to be continually present. So the potential to develop them, the potential to become enlightened is our Buddha nature. So on the way to developing bodhicitta, we develop compassion, in the technical term, the wish that others be free of suffering. We also develop love. What's love in the technical Buddhist definition? Anybody know? Yeah, the wish for others to be happy. That's love. Compassion is the wish that they be free of suffering. And then bodhicitta is the wish that the aspiration that I can become enlightened so I can benefit them, okay? Without doing something with those qualities, they're kind of inert, okay? And so however, the Buddhas gave lots of teachings on bodhicitta, and they're basically, in our tradition, two main meditation traditions that we use to develop bodhicitta. The one is called seven causes and one effect, okay? And that's what we'll be talking about next week. And the other is Tonglen, which is taking and giving. So these are specific meditations that we can use to develop bodhicitta in our mind stream. Now, if you have other ways of doing it, the Buddha would say that's great, okay? Whatever works for you. But as we talk about these, we'll see that they really include a whole lot. And he says, these are effective ways of developing bodhicitta. If you're interested in that, give them a try. If bodhicitta doesn't appeal to you at all, just set them aside. But if it's something you want to work on, this is a place to begin. So we'll be talking about 7 causes and 1 effect next week. And then after that, we'll go into Tonglen. And then we'll talk about some of the advantages of developing bodhicitta, why it's something we might aspire to. Okay, any questions or comments on anything I've covered so far? Okay, let's see, are we going to use the hand mic? Yeah, so people on Zoom can hear. So wait till you get the mic and yeah.
Yeah, my question is, how do we do this like ourselves? Like when I get home, I'm gonna try this, right? Like, how does one do that? Is it all just like in your mind, like with, being nice and?
Well, we'll do some practice in this class over the next couple of weeks, and you can try them out at home. Okay? Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, we're not just going to throw you in the deep end and say swim. Okay? Anyone else? Any other comments? Yeah, Mark.
So
Yeah,
there you go. So if you are both an arhat and a bodhisattva, then you're at that point a Buddha.
No, you're almost there. Okay, but there's certain it said there's some subtle obscurations you have to remove, and you have to remove some negative karmic imprints. I mean, I don't, this is way beyond my pay grade to talk about that, okay? But that's where tantric practice comes in to remove those very subtle obscurations at the end, yeah. But you're very close, yeah. Okay, good question. Anyone else? Okay, so we're going to do a little meditation tonight on kind of the, if we think of this as a skyscraper that we're building with a tower leading up to enlightenment, first we have to establish a solid foundation to build our skyscraper on. Anybody know what the foundation is? Before you do anything else, what do we need? What quality do we need to cultivate in our mind stream? Concentration is useful. That's not what I'm talking. Equanimity, okay? Particularly if we're developing bodhicitta, equanimity, developing a sense of being equally connected to all beings, okay? Currently, if we're honest with yourself, we divide living beings, people and animals and whatever, into people I like, people I don't like, and people I don't care about. Okay? And the Buddha says, if you're willing to look at that honestly, those labels are coming from your own mind. Okay? They are not qualities that those individuals possess in and of themselves. And that someone you like very much right now, 10 years ago, may have been a total stranger. Okay? Did they change? No, my mental attitude towards them changed. The way I relate to them. Okay? Someone who I really dislike, I may have been close to a couple years ago, but something that happened, now I've changed my attitude towards them. Someone who I'm indifferent to, who I don't even know, can move into either of the other categories. People are moving, or we are moving them back and forth from in those categories based on what our mind says about them. And it's generally, are they nice to me? Do they do what I want them to do? Do we get along? Do we have, a good time together? Or are they mean to me? Do they not do what I want to do? Or do they have no obvious relationship to me at all? And the Buddha says that causes a lot of problems. And there's certainly no way you can develop bodhicitta if you can see all living beings as falling into one of those three categories. So he's saying if you look closely, you'll actually see people in those three categories are much more alike then they are different. The first thing is they all want to be happy, every one of them. His Holiness the Dalai Lama frequently starts his teachings out by emphasizing this point. Everyone wants to be happy. Now, they may be going about it in ways that we think are unskillful or counterproductive, but everyone wants to be happy. It applies to all sentient beings. 2, as we discussed, they all have Buddha nature. Every single person, animal, being has the potential to become a Buddha. Okay? 3, they are all living their lives under the effects of karma, the results of their past actions of body, speech, and mind. So there are really a lot of ways in which they're all very, very similar. And our projections onto them are really not that significant when compared to that. So the goal of this meditation is not to develop indifference, okay, or not caring about anybody, but it is to kind of weaken or loosen that clingy quality we have towards people that we like, that pushing away quality that we have with people we don't like, and that not caring about people we don't know, so that we see them as all worthy of enlightenment, all worthy of being happy, and being equally connected to every single one. Okay, so that's a huge change in the way we think. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to love our family and not have people that we feel close to. But we're going to have this everyone, this inclusive, enormous attitude of everyone is worthy of being happy, of being free of suffering. Okay? So we have to kind of start from there, developing some sense of equanimity. And certainly it doesn't come naturally initially. Richard Gere talked about the practice, of saying to every being, I wish you could be happy, or whatever it was he said to them. Little things that we can do by rote, but they do start to change our mind. And all of this, the developing of bodhicitta, of wisdom, of enlightenment, it all occurs in our mind, and it can occur there because our mind is infinitely flexible. It is not fixed in any way. We think it's limited, that I am this way, I'm not that way. The Buddha said, none of that's true. Your mind has the potential to develop in any way you want it to. So all of this is working in the mind, and we can do it because the mind lacks any fixed qualities. Okay, that's not the subject of this module, but it's always something to remember. So I'd like to do a little bit of meditation, okay? And this is just a brief touch of some of the practices. We'll get into more next week, and we'll talk more. Let's see, if you're not familiar with meditation, let's see, I don't have a lot of time, but we'll, establish your posture, get your back a little bit straighter than you normally sit. Legs in a position that you find comfortable and stable. Eyes either lightly closed or slightly open. Begin by taking 3 deep breaths from the abdomen, with the stomach expanding on the in-breath and contracting on the out-breath. Just do that 3 times, very slowly. And allow your breathing to return to its normal pattern. And for a moment, just place your mind, your consciousness on your breath as it moves in and out through your nostrils. Just a little bit of concentration meditation. And now we're going to do a brief visualization meditation. And when we say visualize, we just mean imagine. Our mind's imagining. So we imagine that there are 3 people in front of us. To the left, someone we feel close to, that we enjoy being around, that we like. To the right, someone we dislike, who irritates us, who gets on our nerves. Can't be the same person. That'd be 2 different people. And then in the middle, someone that we have no strong feelings about one way or the other, maybe a clerk we see in a store or someone we pass on the street every now and then. So be very specific. Pick real people that you know. And looking at the person that you feel warmly towards, ask yourself, why do I hold this person close? What am I projecting into this relationship? What comes from me and not from them? Similarly, the person we dislike, where does that come from? Does that dislike dwell in that person? Or is that in my own mind? And the person in the middle, why don't I care about them? Why don't they mean anything to me? Is that a quality of theirs? Or is that a concept of my mind? And think how these people move back and forth among these categories. From I like them to I don't care about them. I haven't seen them for 30 years. Or person I disliked, I didn't even know them 2 years ago. They were in the I don't care category. People are continually moving amongst these categories because of how our mind labels them. And now draw back and look at all 3 and see how all three of them are experiencing their karma, the results of their actions in the past of body, speech, and mind. How each one of them wants to be happy. And each one of them possesses Buddha nature, the potential for complete enlightenment. Just as you have the potential for enlightenment, as you want to be happy, as you are experiencing the results of your karmic actions. So see if you get a sense of feeling close, but without clinging or grasping to each one of these three people. That you relate to them as you relate to yourself, because you're all so similar. And you may relax your concentration. So that was very kind of rushed, but that's how we meditate on equanimity. So I'd like you to work on that over this week. Maybe take 10 minutes a day and sit and think along those lines and what speaks to you and what seems to make an effect on your mind. Because if we do want to develop bodhicitta, like I said, it has to be all inclusive. We can't leave anybody out. So we have to develop at least a sense of connection with other beings. We're not developing bodhicitta just for the people we like. That's a misconception. And then next week we'll rush through the 7 causes and 1 effect, which is a series of meditations. Then the week after that we'll do Tonglen, which a lot of people find especially powerful and is many people's core practice, all for the development of bodhicitta, the 2 methods, 7 causes and 1 effect, and then Tonglen. Any questions or comments?
Anyone online has a question, just unmute.
Okay. Well, stay warm out there. I think it'll be all these cold weather Buddhists. I think it'll be a little warmer next week. We were delayed for 2 weeks by snow, but I hope we won't have any more this month.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Just another quick reminder, I did announce this at the beginning before we started class, but on Wednesday of this week, if you have been following the Walk for Peace monks, they are arriving in the Washington, D.C. area. And on Wednesday from 4:30 to 7:30, they will be doing a live stream worldwide loving kindness meditation, and everyone in the entire world is invited to join in on that. So here at Kadampa Center, we'll be opening the building on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and then at 4:30, we'll be watching the live stream here on our projector screen and just gathering here together. So if you want to stop by anytime between 4:30 and 6:30, because we have to end a little bit early, so that we can set up for Lamrim class that evening. So 4:30 to 6:30, we'll be here. Building opens at 4. Feel free to drop in, come and go as you need to. I know people have work schedules and whatnot, so join us if you can, and that'll be in person here at the center. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One sheet of bounty versus one sheet of the competitive plan.
Hi, Rainey.
Bye, Lisa. I'm not hearing you, Lisa. I'm trying to read your lips. I think you need to unmute.